So I'm here today to talk about really just this amazing rise of partner ecosystems. Not that partner ecosystems are new, but what it's changing, what's driving that change, and what can we do about it. I loved listening to our previous speaker because, believe it or not, I too was a shy, introverted child in Stamford, Connecticut, so a different area of the country. So I'm here to tell you that people can change. Right? So let's take a look at what's going on in the industry and think about how we can change and what we're doing, how to maximize and really take advantage and competitive advantage of our ecosystems. So if you think about a ripple effect occurs when an initial disturbance to a system propagates to a larger and larger portion of that system. Like ripples on a water expanding across the water. Think about if you were standing on a beach and you picked up a stone and you tossed it in the water. The moment the stone touched the water, a ripple would form and it would get larger and larger and larger. The ripple effect is so much greater than the initial impact of that single stone. Now, when we think about that, ripple effects and market forces can have little impact to your business, to your ecosystems, or can create tidal waves that permeate throughout your ecosystems. So at Forrester, we believe that harnessing the change that is going on in the marketplace and looking at what channel marketing and channel leaders can do to stand up and take advantage, we truly believe that a supplier's magnitude of growth is contingent upon igniting and exciting your partner ecosystem, orchestrating partner-to-partner collaboration and client delivery and customer delight, and really driving, fostering, and facilitating co-innovation to provide optimal customer value across an evolving partner ecosystem. But wait, I've actually got to say no, things are changing. It's not channel marketing. It's really partner ecosystem marketing, because channel has become a portion of what we do in our ecosystems. It is no longer a linear channel. It is not just based on the transaction or the point of revenue or transacting with a client or with you as a supplier. So we as channel marketing operations, sales leaders need to really take this into consideration as we drive towards making changes in our programs, our processes, our resources, and our staffing. So we start to think about the skills needed to really take advantage. So while I agree what was said previously about it's not what you say, it's how you say it, I'm going to also say it's also what you say. And what you say is important because when we start to talk about data, I've seen a trend with data and talking about ecosystems that is referencing data that might not be as relevant, might not be as fresh. So it's really important that we start to think about and align and assign and source data and identify those trending aspects. I've seen a lot of data recently come up in blogs and different areas where they're referencing pre-pandemic information. That is no longer relevant, it's no longer fresh. So I'm here today to share some fresh data, and I want to start with some data that we got from our B2B Buyer's Journey Survey. This is the largest, most comprehensive business buying survey in the world. It's 20 times larger than our previous survey and has 20,000 respondents. It's got a great mix of companies across different revenue bands, great individual respondents, both C-suite and decision makers, so a really good mix around buyer roles. And one of the things that we asked them was, how are you purchasing? How are you purchasing the offer that you decided to go with? And an overwhelming majority are purchasing through different routes to market. They're not purchasing direct from the supplier. We all know this in our channel world. We all see this. We all try to evangelize this. We all try to tell our home office that this is going on. But we're here today to tell you that in the largest buyer survey that was conducted in 2022, it is overwhelmingly representative that the routes to market are not only higher in purchase, but also diversifying in the types of partners. The other element is we spoke to B2B marketing executives, and we asked them, what are the internal processes that you're looking to revise in the next 12 months? And of course, everybody says strategic planning, right? We've got to create our long-term plan, we've got to see what the trends are, and we need to know how to respond to them. But the number 2 area was channel and partner processes. It actually was right above market segmentation and go-to-market planning. This represents that not only channel leaders, but decision makers and CMOs, non-channel decision makers and organizations are leaning in and investing in partners and including partners in their routes to market. So we talk about this decade of the ecosystem. Well, ecosystems have been around for a really long time. It's how are we managing it? What's happening? What's driving the change? What are those forces that are creating those ripples that we really need to take advantage of? So, inherent with any change, with any market forces, we see that there are a lot of challenges to overcome in really getting our arms around orchestrating and managing an ecosystem. So we need to identify what are those processes, what is attribution, how do we facilitate partner-to-partner collaboration, what are those ripples that we need to put our arms around and look at as the drivers to pay attention. What are the ones that are going to have the impact, what are the ones that are just going to have a small ripple and we're not going to need to pay attention to. So as we think about critical considerations for driving ecosystem success in 2023 and beyond, we have to think about not only ecosystems, we can't forget about buyer and customer alignment and the power and importance of partner experience. So as we dig through and we think about buyer and customer alignment, we know that in order to truly be a customer-obsessed organizations, we have to look at what's driving our buyers and customers, their needs and preferences, and put them at the center of what we do. Really start with the buyer and customer in mind. And when we do that, we look at what's going on with the buyer, what's driving them, what's changing, what are they responding to, what's affecting their business, how are they buying, who are they buying from, why are they making a decision? What's promoting that? What's creating a sense of urgency? What's creating a roadblock to those decisions? And you also have to sit there and recognize, as a supplier, that sometimes what they are buying, it's not a product, it's a solution. They're looking for solutions to create positive business outcomes, but it also potentially extends beyond what you alone sell. It's really a collaboration across an ecosystem. And the thing that you have to understand is that your buyers and customers are the ones that define your partner ecosystem. You don't build your ecosystem and hope that buyers and customers come along. It starts with the buyer and customer in mind. We talk about the different values that partners bring to the table. We've stopped at Forrester using partner types as a way to distinguish or categorize partners and the motions that they have. It's really business models. It's really motions. It's really the value that they bring, the function or the role that they play. So as we look at, are they building new offerings, potentially enhancing or influencing in marketing? Are they to the traditional transacting partners that are selling, potentially sourcing? Are they servicing? Are they bringing retention and renewal and management support? We have to break it down to those points of value of what these business models, these partners are doing, and understand that not one partner plays a role singularly. They may start to take on different roles across this life cycle. But you notice that this is not the partner's journey. This is looking at what is the value that they bring in the customer life cycle. So as we think about how the buyer alignment requires that you be very audience-centric, you think about then how multiple partners come together to collaborate on an opportunity, how buyers look to solve their business problem using solutions that are sourced from multiple partners. We've all heard the stats of 6, 7, 8, 15 partners involved in an opportunity. Of course, it depends on the size of the opportunity and the size of the organization. but partners are going to engage with other partners, with you and your offerings. They may lead with your offerings. It may be embedded in their offering. They may not even talk about your offering. They may be referring or influencing an opportunity. So you really have to look at how are you engaging and how are you facilitating partner to partner to partner to partner to supplier offerings. Sometimes it's complementary and supportive of what you're doing. And as you ask the buyers, and we conducted B2B buyer surveys year over year and start to look at the trending information, we have to look at what are the things that matter most to buyers. And when we talk with buyers, two things came out as I had the most important. One is subject matter expertise, domain expertise, competence, and the experience that delivered. So we have to ensure that our partners understand that the experience that they're delivering to their customers, not just in the sales cycle, but the post-sale life cycle, matters. And it's not always those partners that are delivering it. It might be a collection of partners. So how are we enabling our partners to be successful with one another to delight our buyers and help them understand what's most important? How are we supporting their subject matter expertise? Are we providing assets and tools and information, perhaps along now the partner's journey, that they need at the key inflection points, in those points of value that we talked about, to deliver to the customer? And what our data and information year over year has shown us is that buyer complexity is increasing. Not only are there more individuals included in a buying decision than ever before, we're seeing in 60% of purchases, there's either 4 or more buyers included. The interactions or points of value are increasing. There's now 27 on average buyer interactions completed in a successful buying process. Pre-pandemic numbers was 16 4 years ago, and it was about 17 to 19 2 years ago. The biggest jump has been over the last 2 years. So complexity is only increasing, and it's increasing at a rate that we have not seen before. They also like to interact with different members. It's no longer just interacting with a salesperson. They're interacting half of the time with a customer service or customer success manager. So when Joe got up and said, do you know that you each have a customer success manager assigned to your account? You better believe that you should be interacting with them, because during purchasing decisions and telling your partners, they need to invest in those capabilities. They need to recognize the skills that are needed. And the importance and the value and the impact, the ripple effect that those conversations are having. They also like to engage with solution specialists, because that demonstrates that subject matter expertise that they seem and deemed most important. And then the last thing is experience matters. Experience matters. We see the top trigger for repeat purchases, renewal, retention, is previous experience with the provider. So your customers are really your partners to lose, right? They have them, they value that. Let's help them retain them. Let's help them invest or partner with someone who can service and support those. So you can't lose sight of the experience in these complex ecosystem plays. Don't leave it up to each partner to come in and introduce themselves. And the buyer or customer has to hear the same thing over and over again. Facilitate a cohesive message. Look at how do we align joint planning, joint conversations across co-marketing and co-selling. We're seeing referrals and influence models come up. How do we engage and coordinate that and orchestrate that to have a better, seamless, frictionless experience for our buyers and customers? So as we move into the middle of those 3 areas that we're going to talk about, this is where most people mistakenly start. They say, we're going to have a conversation about ecosystems, and let's start with ecosystems. And actually, to tie it back to the story of the Odyssey was actually started in the middle, for those English majors and people who are fans of literature like I am. It really started in the middle, and you were only told about the beginning and some of the retelling. Well, this is a mistake that people make. Buyers and customers have to be at the center of that, and that then drives our ecosystems. And so what we have to see is our ecosystems now based on alignment to those buyer and customer needs and preferences, are expanding, are increasing, not only just the size, but the number of partners that are engaging. We're seeing self-service models and desire for consumption and subscription models increase. Marketplaces are exploding because they're trying to satisfy buyers' self-service requirements and desires. So we're seeing an ecosystem that is becoming more formal and informal with the different partnerships that they're bringing into the fold. So what do I mean by that? Well, as buyers and customers are requiring different preferences, are desiring different experiences, are becoming more complex, partners are redefining their role in delivering value to those buyers and customers. So we're seeing an ecosystem that's expanding. It's not just expanding for non-transacting partners, but some of the non-traditional partners like OEMs and ISVs that we haven't formally included into our ecosystem. We're seeing that the value that partners are bringing is changing. We no longer can call them a systems integrator or an MSP and know exactly what value or role that they play with the buyer. And because of that, we're seeing, as we showed, partners engaging with multiple suppliers and other partners. So there's an increasingly competition for mindshare. There's a lot of noise out there, so we need to really make sure that we talk to our partners through the right engagement opportunities, but provide them those right enablement opportunities and telling them what's happening with the buyer. Don't go in and talk about yourself. Tell them what's happening with the buyer and why together our solution makes the most sense. So when we looked at some data and we conducted a routes to market survey at the beginning in Q1 of 2022, we asked our respondents who are now channel leaders. Previously, that huge amount of business going through routes to market was our buyer's journey. This is specifically partner and channel and ecosystem leaders. And 72% of them said that 41% of revenue came from indirect. Where we see that higher is we see that higher in high tech. In fact, we see it almost 70% in high tech. So depending on industry, we see that change. Regionally, we see it to be fairly consistent. What we also saw is that not only is indirect growing, but they're seeing that it's going to increase or significantly increase in the next year. So more people are buying through routes to market, they're becoming more important, and they're seeing it grow. The other element is the ecosystem itself is expanding, but it's expanding across the sheer number of partners and the types of partners that are included. And what do I mean by that? I mean that as we see growth across all partner types, we see it across transacting and non-transacting, traditional and non-traditional. And what I mean by that is the alliances and OEMs and ISVs that have traditionally not been part of your program and not subject to channel marketing or partner ecosystem marketing remit are now falling into that remit and are looking for programs and processes to engage them more formally into a program. This puts channel marketing at the center of what's going on in an ecosystem. Ecosystems are taking center stage, and now we're reliant significantly on partner experience, but partner experience across a diverse set of partners. So these percentages represent not the percentage of partner types within your program, but the growth of those partner types in the formalization of partner ecosystems. And then I can't talk about partner influence without saying many organizations do not measure, track, or document partner influence. If you're going to do one thing today, walking out of this session, start to think about how are you going to measure partner influence on revenue. And recognize that it's not just on the direct revenue, but it's on indirect revenue and growth as well. So really take a look and saying those that do track and measure it are also seeing that influence is on the rise. So this is an area that we need to call out and start to look at because it's becoming much more critical as we move to these non-transacting, different value measures, different points of value in the customer life cycle. And then from that routes to market survey, we asked our partner and channel leaders, How important are ecosystem and ecosystem orchestration? Well, 67% said it's either very important or absolutely essential to my business. So we've got the buyers looking at ecosystems, the need for ecosystems, asking for solutions, looking for solutions across a diverse set of partnerships. We've got partners exploding in your ecosystem, wanting to gauge and take on different interactions and transaction points with you. And we're recognizing how critically important it is to orchestrate and put our arms around really creating formal programs and resourcing and aligning our programmatic, our incentives, all the other elements of our communication, our engagement strategies based on these different partners and partner types. So consider the evolution of your routes to market. They're digital, they're non-transacting, they're marketplaces, influencer models are coming up. Even consider if your direct sales team is actually a channel or a partner for you. Don't think about it just in how we're going to drive revenue to them, but how can we make and enhance the connections that they're making with our buyers and customers on the direct side through the connections with our partners. Doesn't mean a partner wasn't involved or didn't engage or didn't influence or isn't going to service that customer and hopefully delight them and have them come back. So the last area that I'm going to talk about, and it is near and dear to my heart, and I'm excited to see that it is talked about and is going to be talked about across this agenda. But it's really the importance and the value of customer experience. We asked our CMOs in our B2B marketing executive survey, and overwhelmingly, almost 50% of them said for the first time that they were going to stake a claim on partner experience. They actually said that they consider the experience of our business partners an area of focus in the upcoming 2 years. So it wasn't, we have been thinking about it, it's the recognition that we have to be thinking about it. So again, this is not channel marketing leaders, these are CMOs and B2B marketing executives who are saying that this is critical to my organization's strategy. When we showed those 3 elements, and partner programs and processes were number 2, all of those are strategic to the growth of the organization, and where CMOs and execs are not only investing their time, but aligning resources. And here is one where partner experience bubbles up to the top as a critical business objective and imperative. So as we look and say, well, partner experience has to rise to the level of customer experience over the next 12 months in order for us to really maximize and harness the value and the importance of this ripple effect that we're having across our ecosystems. We know that the value that partners are bringing and the different value points that they're doing, that they're providing customers across those different points of the customer's life cycle is really driving the catalyst to say how partner forward, how partner friendly, how partner obsessed are we? And this is coming from an organization like Forrester, who has talked about truly investing in customer obsession as a business imperative. We now have to look at how are we driving partner obsession. And we see 3 maturity levels as we start to look at that. Many organizations there's really kind of still supplier-centric. They're focusing on achieving their own goals. They talk about partnerships. They talk about being channel-friendly. But a lot of their actions and their messages out to the marketplace are really more self-centered, right? It doesn't allow partners to provide their own value proposition, their own value in these points with the customers in the customer life cycle. So there's not a lot of room for partners, and it feels a little bit like lip service. Then we move into what's a little bit more partner-friendly and channel-friendly. And this is where we're going to see a little bit more of a diverse set of partners, business models. So you might have your resale model. You might have your build or influence model. You certainly should have success and retention and renewal programs. And we're seeing that partner experience at this point is becoming a sub-function on the channel marketing team. Somebody's responsible for it. Somebody's paying attention to it. And we're highlighting and saying that we really need to make improvements on how to be easy to do business with, right? We know that that matters to our partner ecosystem, and we really need to make an effort to do this. And the highest level of maturity here is really being partner and customer obsessed. This is where that linkage between customer experience and partner experience is crystallized, because we know that partners who are engaged in our program are enjoying the trust and the relationship and showing preference for our offerings, are creating an exceptional customer experience for their customers who are experiencing part of your brand through that experience. It's where they jointly rally around solving business problems for our customers. Customers are at the center. They're the most important. It's not who's leading here, who's leading there. It's how do we lead with the customer at the center and the customer objectives in mind. So this is where truly exceptional partner experience becomes a primary business strategy imperative. So it moves from being a sub-function to really being a strategy that organizations are rallying around. And I'm excited, as I said, to see that more and more individuals are putting partner experience in their titles. Not only are it's not part of the job, it is what they're responsible for. You can't have a positive, exceptional partner experience, customer experience, without building trust. Trust is social oxygen. It is an essential element across all aspects of our personal and professional lives. Consequently, aspiring to be a trusted partner is a universal goal of all companies across all industries. We heard Joe mention trust already. We've heard trust said at every point in this session, although Dave hasn't said it yet, but I'm pretty sure he's going to say it soon. It's critically important. Trust is becoming the currency and the engagement model with which we're achieving our goals and creating a competitive advantage. And Forrester defines trust as the confidence and the high probability that a person or an organization will spark a certain positive outcome in a relationship. And so as we start to look at trust in B2B, we have to look at a sort of a risk-reward category and say, what impact does trust have across our key stakeholders? That would be our customers, they're at the center of everything we do. Our employees, because they are their face and our ambassadors of what we do, and our partners across our ecosystem. And we know if we can build trust, not only with our customers, will they be more apt to try new offerings? Will they be repeat customers? Will they lean into and really become a long-term engagement with us? Will we retain our key employees? Will they be more productive while they're working with us? And with our partners, it's really about getting faster routes to customers. They're starting to show preference for us. They're engaging with us. They trust us. They're participating in our programs. And they're leaning in and sharing data like never done before. We know that when you have less trust, that you leave all of these constituents. You leave yourself at risk for your customers, for your employees, for your partners to be picked off by someone else who's going to come in and not only provide easy to do business with, transparency, communications, but also set up that trusting relationship. So it's imperative that we look at trust and start to apply trust. But how do we do that? How do we align trust that has a feeling, it feels a little bit nebulous? How do we apply that to B2B? Well, Forrester has recognized that there are 7 trust levers that organizations use, both in B2C and B2B. And they are accountability, competence, consistency, dependability, empathy, integrity, and transparency. And when you focus on those, particularly all of those matter to partner experience. But when you drive those activities with your partner ecosystem, not only do you drive those revenue generating and revenue producing behaviors of retention, loyalty, and advocacy, which drives growth. So as we start to look at aligning all of those trust elements, we know that trust is sort of in the eye of the beholder. You will determine what matters most to you in a trusting relationship. But when we started to talk to our partners and look at what matters most to them, we found 3 things that really stood out. And the first one is demonstrating empathy with your partners. Leaning into your partner's perspective. Understand who they are, what they're made of. Like I said, it's no longer about a partner model or a partner type. Understand what their business model is, how they make money, where are they in your program, where are they in a region, what's the status in their program, what are the different personas that matter to that partner organization, what's the longevity or the status that they have, the commitment that they have in your program. So really treat your partners and understand that they're the hero of this odyssey and journey that we're on, and really understanding the unique perspective that they bring. The second one is transparency. How do we create transparency of being able to communicate in a very open way back and forth with our partners? That's not just creating partner experience surveys and creating the feedback. It is doing that, but it's also acting on those, sharing that feedback, letting them know how you're going to invest, what you heard and what you're going to do about it, but also creating the spaces and the places where partners can provide feedback back to you and let them know what's important and start to share that. An interesting thing is one of my analysts went to the Channel Meetup event in the Bay Area. I think it was last week. And they were talking, and with this new generation of partner business owners coming on, the fact about data sharing and having it be not something that you hold close to the vest and you never share like had previously been done in the channel, but just the desire and the need and the commonplace of sharing data and being very data transparent really drives that relationship with the supplier and their partners. And then the last one is accountability, where organizations understand the value that trust brings to your partnerships. Suppliers are having trouble operationalizing it, taking it from the abstract to the actionable. So really taking and understanding how we can create responsibility through a model, a methodology that we can use. And I'm excited that Lisa from Splunk is going to be talking tomorrow and using a model and a framework that you can put in place to really drive accountability and show and demonstrate to your partners in a very thoughtful, methodical way how you're going to be accountable for what matters to them in your programs, in your processes, in your communications. So as I started to look and say, well, what's affecting our partner experience? We just did a pulse survey, and we just did this over the last 2 months. And asked organizations where they were looking at spending, particularly on technology. And 80% of B2B marketing leaders, not just channel leaders, said that they were going to increase investment in channel and partner ecosystem marketing technologies. That's great news. But is it going to make it harder to do business? How are you going to be transparent about what you're doing? How are you going to show data? So as we leap to scale, and we need to scale, you cannot scale without that process in mind and thinking about the experience and the impact that your technology and those decisions are going to have on not only the partners you have today, but the partners you're going to have tomorrow in your ecosystem. And it also leans into then understanding how are you going to align those programmatic elements in your formalized program to this new behavior that you want to drive. So 46% of our B2B executives mentioned that they're going to adapt channel incentives to motivate and reward engaging new buyer centers and new personas. That's a great start. We need to look at how can we expand beyond just MDF or co-op and expand a mix of points-based rewards. How can we align to customer success and renewal activities, and really looking at those points of value that we see and aligning our programmatic elements that we have today to those points of value to not only reward that activity, but demonstrate that that behavior is important and really support the investment in our partnerships. So as we round this out and we think about partner experience and the importance of this, we have to think about what are the top goals. And so these are different goals. We're measuring different things today. We're not looking at just the revenue generating or what status they are in our program. How satisfied are they with us as a partnership? Do they trust us? What is their commitment and loyalty? Have we developed partner advocates in our program? We know how important customer advocates are in a buying process and a customer life cycle. Why are we not investing in building and rewarding and driving partner advocacy within our program? Really demonstrating that experience is important and showing the positive experience that partners can have in our ecosystem. So as we start to think about this and we think about the enhanced experience, know that it ties directly to growing faster, to outperforming your peers, to being more profitable, to improving the experience that your customers are having through that partner ecosystem, and retaining and aligning not only your partners, but those customers, those indirect customers of those partners. Critically important. So as we tie this up in a bow and talk about what are the things that we need to do, if I had to align 3 things across these 3 core areas, is 1, customers, buyers come first. They define your partner ecosystem, put them at the center. Your partner ecosystem is exploding. You're looking at non-transacting partners. Figure out how to measure and align and incentivize and reward partner influence. And then lastly, partner experience matters. The interactions, the engagement, the technology you invest in, the process improvements matters to your partners. Happy partners are going to be more profitable, they're going to be more loyal, they're going to be advocates for you, and you are going to be more profitable. I wanted to share one last little tidbit because this really sparked something in my mind when I saw this data. Small businesses, owners prefer to partner with people who talk about what matters in the world, that show their values and demonstrate their values and articulate their values to the world beyond just their business and their business model. So know that what you think and feel and your brand is a huge attribute and a huge selling factor to your partners. Be transparent, be upfront, let them know what matters to you and articulate that out in the marketplace. And as we think about then the ripple effect that we have across our partner ecosystem, we talked a lot about B2B and business. I'm going to leave you with one little personal note. One small gesture can change a person's life. Think about how you can invest in having a positive experience and a positive impact on individuals. One random act of kindness can have a ripple effect, and it can really change the way not only a person is feeling, but a community is feeling. So I leave you with that today. Be kind, lead with kindness, and be safe. And it's a pleasure being back here in person with you all today. Thank you.